Marwa just confessed something, and most people missed it. Maro was walking past Gitiriba's construction site, talking casually, the way he does in his old video. But in that moment, he may have revealed something deeper than what he intended to say. Not just about donations, but about how influence works, how psychology works, and how people can be guided without realizing it. Today, we are not here to attack anyone because I don't attack anyone. I usually react to the videos that have been posted in public domain. So today, I'm here to analyze, break it down, and understand, because if you don't understand how influence works, you can easily become part of it. Ladies and gentlemen, let us set the scene. Maro is speaking about how people donate money. He says, if many people give a small amount of money, it becomes something big, just like the government collects from many people. Now pause right there. That statement, when you hear for the first time, you will say that statement sounds normal at first, but when you look deeper, there is another layer. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to digest that deeper, let you understand what that statement carried, the weight that all of us, we have to understand. So watch this clip, then we dive deep into today's discussion. Stay tuned.
It's heading to 7 p.m. So we're gonna go and see what is going on. This is Gitiriba's construction. He needs to start putting some work. Yeah. But I know the stage where he's heading feels like the stage of starting. He needs a lot of money to actually do that. So you can also support him. Even one metal bar, if we get like 100 of you, you can start constructing already. Just 100 with one metal bar. You know, sometimes there is power in numbers. When people are many, it doesn't feel like it's a lot to anyone. It feels shared. So, and I think that's how government control us, you know, by taking little by little from each and every one of us. We don't really complain, but again, sometimes we complain because maybe they become more greedy, and so also.
Good morning, beautiful people, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to this amazing YouTube channel that goes by the name Maxwell Lumumba Africa. Maxwell Lumumba is my good name, a village content creator born and raised in a village set up with no jobs. At the end of the day, I do content creation to earn a living. Like today, I'm going to discuss about, did Marwa just confessed? The psychology behind online begging exposed. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who are coming across this YouTube channel for the first time, I do reaction videos, especially to the videos that have been posted in public domain. That being that, I also have another YouTube channel that goes by the name Maxwell Lumumba, that goes by the name Vibe with Lumumba. Basically, for that YouTube channel, I post lifestyle videos, my own lifestyle. Even I post videos about my piece of land, how I want to initiate some project in that piece of land. Let us go there and support that project, because some people will now be saying like, Max is begging. Yeah, begging is not bad, but consistent begging is something that raises question. Like today, I'm going to expose how Marwa gets a lot of money from these, and he has related it to what the government tells people. So having said that, I'm going to break it down, the statement. And before I do that, yesterday I appeared in one of the YouTube channels, and I said something clear. Even before that, yesterday I went to the hospital and I was diagnosed. I took a blood work sample, actually something like a blood sample. Then I was diagnosed to be having malaria. I was given some medication, so I'm under medication as I'm speaking. So pray for me. So that means that the way I was complaining, I'm feeling like dizziness, I'm feeling like tired, I'm getting slender, I'm getting thin, so that means maybe I was harboring malaria parasite without me knowing. So yesterday a confirmatory diagnosis was made, and the outcome was Max is sick. So pray for me. That is what I can tell us. Continue praying for me, and that is part of living. Having said that, yesterday I appeared in somebody's channel where I said that there is GoFund that has been created again for the widow, and this is what is going to happen, because I told us I'm not going to involve myself. I'm not going to involve myself in any GoFund in any way. So because the link was shared to me, I'll be actually have sent the link to the responsible individual, that is Priska Mayani, even though I know yesterday she was in hospital, and today I'll be visiting her maybe later in the day, but she'll be pinning that GoFund in her YouTube channel. Let her announce it, and let people support her, because for me, when it comes to GoFund, the initial GoFund, it was there. I tried to promote it, but you know, one thing I like about me, I don't want to see my name tarnished because of some stupid allegations. Yeah, so she has the money, she can control the money, so the GoFund, anytime she needs the money from the GoFund, she can access it by herself. Maxwell Lumumba is not part of GoFund again. I promoted it, then is now the mandate for her to do what is needful for that money. But at least it has helped her during different occasions, like when she was in hospital, the same GoFund money was used. When she has any problem, the same GoFund money is being used. So that being that is none of my business. And those people who maybe they have been asking a lot of questions about justice for Mayani, I think yesterday I also appeared in a YouTube channel where I came categorically clear. I said anything about people's lives, I'm not associated in any way when it comes to justice for Mayani. So that tells us about Mayani's killer. Let me say this, yeah. Up to now, the family does not show any concern when it comes to talking about the killer or getting justice for their son. There is nothing like that. Their life is back to normal. It does not bother them in any way. So Maxwell or Ginto or any other individual, we have no capacity to initiate all those cases. That is point number one. Another thing is about the case itself. Yeah, we are not the victims. We were just trying to help the victim members. Yeah, so that tells us we are not going to initiate this case in any way. Yeah, it is the mandate of the family members to decide this is what we are going to do as family members, and this is the solution that we are coming. But the way things are going right now, there won't be justice for Mayani. But there is something that is coming up about maybe dowry. I don't want to discuss about that because that is none of my business. Family issues, let them sort as family members. So now the claims is the individual is in Nairobi, so let the family, the DCI, the security forces, so the family has to push for justice, not Ginto, not Maxwell, not any other person, because I know very well what is happening in the village. Yeah, let's say for example right now, because last week we had that issue about Baba Ann and Congress dad. I saw a lot of comment people saying that Max, go to Baba Ann, make sure that he get. No, I told people I don't go to people's houses to get justice for them. They have legs, they can walk and get justice for themselves. The only thing like me I can do is just to give like a backup. Yeah, once he's there to get justice for himself, we can now go there as a backup. Not that we are now going to take their hands, then we walk toward the police station. I don't know, we go file what. That is nothing. That is something that I can't do, I as an individual, and there is nowhere I can find myself that, because at the end of the day, look at the bigger picture. Because somebody like me, I have my own lens where I can magnify things, then I see this is not the right way to do. Even the time that I was stepping aside for the GoFund, I already saw the bigger picture about it. Even up to now, some people are asking me, like yesterday, somebody was asking me, how about the money that was meant for the GoFund? I'm not associated in GoFund in any way. Ask the people who are associated with the GoFund, but not me. Yeah, I was there as a promoter. I did my work. Now the money is there for the widow. Let her enjoy life. And that is what I can say. For these other cases about, I don't know, get courses, yeah, I'm still young to start fighting, I don't know, court battles because I don't know I took somebody there. No, I'm not going to do that, and I'm sorry to say that. At the end of the day, the way I was saying, I'll be looked at the most stupid person in this world. You take somebody or you push for something, then at the end of the day, this person is being bribed with small amount of money, then you are just left there stagnated, contemplating the next move, and the end result is that now people will be laughing to you at, Max, where have you reached with that case? Now I don't want to tarnish my name because of helping people. Now it is my time even to beg. Yeah, I'm starting a project for those who want to contribute, like 1 bag of cement, 2 bags of cement, maybe a tip of stones. Yeah, I'm starting the project very soon, and right now as I'm speaking, I'm almost clearing the architect and the structural designer. The only place that now I'll be left with is about the approval. Yeah, so maybe at the end of this week I'll be having the stamp and the plan about the construction. So I now have to clear with the National Construction Authority, BOK, and I'll be left, okay, BOK and NEMA, then approval now for construction. Approval cost 73, yeah. Approval alone cost 73,000 Kenyan shillings. NEMA cost 30,000 Kenyan shillings. The BOK cost 20,000. Then NCA cost 30,000. So that when you do those, that is almost, yeah, almost 200,000. So that means that that is like 1,500 USD. That is just a rough approximation, and some miscellaneous, because there's some additional costs like transportation go on there. Sometimes, you know, this is Kenya, we have to do other things. Yeah, having said that, back to normal business. So the way I've played that clip, now it is time to break it down, the statement, and let me start by dissecting these one by word, because Marwa says many people give small amounts. This is called collective contribution psychology. It reduces pressure. Instead of asking one person for 100,000 Kenyan shillings, you ask 100 people to contribute 1,000 each. At the end of the day, you'll be getting the 100,000 that you needed. It feels lighter, easier, and harmless. So for those people who can digest this is like reducing the workforce, or the not workforce, increasing the workforce, but reducing the load, the size of the load. So that is what Maro's come on camera and has tried to juggle with the people's psychology now, saying that if you contribute this, and I'll be bringing another point, so it becomes something very bigger. Thus the aggression effect. Small actions, it goes and it multiplies and it creates massive outcome. And here's the key: the giver feels he has given out small, the receiver gains something big. Let's say I, Maxwell, yeah, I come through and I contribute. Maybe somebody needed 100 shillings. I, Maxwell, I come through and I say, let me pay 10 shillings. Another individuals come through and say that let me pay this 10 shillings, another. So 10 people will be giving out that 100 shillings. And at the end of the day, the receiver has gained that big amount of money that he needed at the end of the day. And he goes ahead and says something about just like the government. And this is where this gets interesting, because he compares himself to a system of mass collection. This is no longer just fundraising. This is structured movement. So Maro himself is positioning himself as the government and the subscribers as now the citizen people, yeah. And I'm going to digest about these when I'll be talking about something else. But for now, let me talk about the psychology of donation, and let us talk psychology. What do people give? First, at the end of the day, there is something that we call emotional trigger. People give when they feel, especially when they have sympathy, when they see the urgency of giving, and when they see connection. What is happening right now? Look at the mood at which Maro himself is speaking about this issue. It seems that this is the most urgent. And funny thing about this, yeah, why can't Gitiriba speaks for himself? Now, Marwa is now positioning himself that this is something that is of urgency, and is seeking sympathy on behalf of Gitiriba. Gitiriba has a YouTube channel. Why can't Gitiriba do this for himself? And I'll be telling us why now Marwa has to take that responsibility and position himself that I'm the one building this house, let us support Gitiriba. And I'll be telling us the outcome of that, what will happening. So I was speaking I was talking about the psychology of donation, where I've already spoke about emotional trigger. So people will be triggered emotional. Then another thing that will be happening is something like social proof. If 100 people are donating, you feel like you should donate too. So there is that pressure telling you that, Max, you have not donated toward these, let me donate. So you get that. That is what we call the social proof. Then I'll be talking about the authority influence. When someone has a larger platform, they are seen as trustworthy by default. Now Marwa knows himself to be having a very good and large platform, and is now behaving like the commander in that platform. So is controlling the whole narrative about building for Gitiriba. Now people will feel what we call guilt pressure. Sometimes people will be asking, if I don't give, I'm not supportive. And that's very powerful. So somebody is seated somewhere enjoying his or her drink, then looking at the way people are now contributing, then you see yourself as odd one out, and you are the individual that has been in that YouTube channel. You have been talking there up and down, but your name is not even called. You just feel like, what a shame. And let me compare these of what Maro tried to compare about government comparison analysis, and I have to go deeper into the government comparison. And let me say this about the government. The government of Kenya, and I'm going to speak about Kenya because I don't know what is happening to those other countries. Government of Kenya collect taxes from millions of people. Each person, let's say Marwa, Maxwell, we pay small amount of money, either directly or indirectly, because at the end of the day, for me, every month I have to pay tax, yeah, and I don't want to tell us from which point that I'm paying. Leave alone YouTube, I don't know taxation. At the end of the month, I have to pay taxes. I have to file my returns every month, and quarterly the year, and every year I have to file the taxes. Yeah, that is what that I know. Every month I have to do that. So I know There are some people who are not paying taxes, but at the end of the month or at the end of the day, you go to do shopping, there is taxation there. When you go and do something, there is taxation there. So that is what we call people pay tax, and each person pays that small amount of money, but together it becomes billions of shillings. How many people are we in Kenya? More than 60 million. So if each of us at the end of the year or at the end of the month we pay taxes, we get that we'll be paying billions of shillings. So Marwa, referencing this model raises a lot of questions. Is he simply explaining fundraising, or is aware of how mass contribution system works at a scale? Because once you understand this system, you can replicate it anywhere. And this is one of the systems that Maro himself has been doing, including other YouTubers, including YouTube. And let me say these before I go to another discussion. Yeah, when we had a project about grandma project, a lot of people contributed, and this now I want to relate to what we are now talking about, mass contributions system, how it works at a scale. A lot of people came through, they contributed, which was something good. I have to applaud Marwa for helping her get that house. But still, when you talk about accountability, that is the biggest question. How much amount of money did people contribute? A lot of people. How much amount of money was accounted for? Nothing. That is now what brings me to speak now about the control discussion. And when I'm speaking about the control discussion, I have to be very careful. We are not saying that anyone is controlling people, but we are analyzing the perception. When someone says this is how the system control people, then uses a similar structure, it creates parallel, and viewers begin to ask, is this influence or manipulation? Because if this is influence, and before even I discuss about influence and manipulation, let me define the difference. Influence, people choose freely. Manipulation, people are guided without realization. And what we are now seeing this, it tends to be manipulation, but the line between the two is very thin. We are now passing through a very thin line, an imaginary line that nobody guesses or nobody sees it. So there is much of manipulation as compared to influence. So somebody is taking advantage of the influence that he has to do what is manipulation. Because when you do these maths, when I was talking about the workload, yeah, one person contributed, because there are big names that were talked, or some they were mentioned by that time. Yeah, you could hear this person from this place contribute this person contributed these. So that tells us a lot. So the moment he changed the topic, where you mentioned something important, he changed the topic quickly after saying that now we could mean many things. Because look at that clip that I've played. At the end of that clip, Marwa changed the topic drastic. Let me just say he changed this topic because he realized that he's almost confessing something from his mouth. So that tells us many things. Yeah, he realized that the comparison was too deep. Comparing yourself with the government, these are two different people. He did not want to be misunderstood, but for me, because I watch him every day, and that's the reality. I watch him, I go systematically, yeah, I go and see where maybe, sometimes you have to correct your brother, and that is what I usually do. Or some people will be saying that the reason why he had to change the topic is because it just naturally shift. We don't assume, but somebody like me, I observe, and that's what makes analysis very powerful. Let me talk about the bigger question. The real question is about, or it is not about one person, it is about the system. So when people come together to give money online, who tracks it? That's the biggest question. Money comes in. Yes, Maxwell Lumumba can come and announce that somebody send me money. At the end of the day, can that money be tracked? Yeah, because sometimes we come on camera and say that I received this money from an anonymous person, but this person never wanted to be called a name. So after the money comes in, who tracks it? Who verifies it? And where does it go? Because now we are in a rush. Different people contribute towards certain things. Yes, I can come on camera and say that person A has contributed for a spoon, person B has contributed for maybe generator, person 3 has contributed to this. Yeah, at the end of the day, I won't come and give out a breakdown of how much money I got, of how much money I have spent, of how much money I'm left with. There is nothing like that. So because transparency has to build trust, and that's the reality. So when you give us a breakdown of how things are happening and how much is left, sometimes I sit down and ask myself, and my answers are not that much good. Yeah, you sit down and ask yourself that, okay, I've been working in this construction site. At the end of the day, I as the individual, what am I going to get? That is the best question. Yeah, I don't want to reveal something about that, but I wanted to say something like that. Yeah, let me just give a very good example. Yeah, when I was promoting the GoFund, I had no intention of getting a profit from that. I had no intention of maybe getting something out of that. It was just like helping. Yeah, and I knew I'll be just doing this for a small duration, then I'm done. That is why I had to step down, because I did what I did, so that at the end of the day, I'm not concerned in that GoFund in any way. I mind my own business, then get money for myself afterwards. Yeah, because now I have to come and do my own projects, get money, sponsor ish, and life continue. I'm not supposed there now to start controlling that the GoFund has this amount of money. At the end of the day, how much am I going to be paid from that GoFund? It is zero amount. So why should I stick there, glue myself there in the work of helping? Yeah, God helps those who help themselves. If I say let me just help them with this within this duration, I took my time, I did the best that I could do. It was now my time to get out of it and let other people use it the way it is supposed to be used. And that is what I did. Now I'm focused into my own affairs. Even I've seen other people telling me that, Max, why can't you come with GoFund about Killer of Mayani? No, that is not my mandate. And this year, I'm not going to be responsible in any other GoFund. Let me be clear about that. Yeah, anything about GoFund, that was only GoFund that I was there, and that is the end of GoFund discussion. I don't want to engage myself in any more GoFund, in any more drama. I'm a private person. I like my private life, and that is how I survive in the community. So let me say this. Today's discussion is not about attacking Marwa. This is about understanding, influence, psychology, collective power, because today it's YouTube, tomorrow it could be anywhere. Today it is you, tomorrow it is me. If you don't understand how this system works, you may participate without ever questioning it. Stay aware, stay informed, stay sharp. I'm still taking my pills. Let me end this video prematurely from that point because I also have other things to discuss. Maybe I'll be posting 2 videos today, but I'm so low, I'm tired. Let me end this conversation from that point. This Maxwell Lumumba Africa. Let us also go and support Vibe with Lumumba YouTube channel. Let us stay safe, let us stay tuned. Goodbye till we meet in the next video. Like now, back to eating mode. Goodbye.